Hey, welcome to another hot tip from UpTech. Today we are focused on Git Patch Stack, which is an open source tool we use for a patch stack based workflow in Git instead of doing feature branches. And you might be asking, well, what is that? Well, basically it's a workflow that we can use to conceptually create logically independent patches, and we have a stack of them, so like a stack of plates, and you manage them, so you can do things like reorder them, squash them together, split them apart, and you work all on main, and it facilitates you building on top of the changes you make rather than having to create a branch that then is based on top of another branch and then based on top of another branch and so on and so forth. And it promotes better proper Git usage so that you have logical chunks so that tooling like Git bisect, etc. work. So today we're going to focus on how do we create patches on our stack and what is a stack in terms of Git, because Git Patch Stack is really just a layer of tooling built directly on top of Git itself. So if we look at our Git tree here, we have a small project. It has an initial skeleton of a Rust project that's just a hello world program right now. And we can see we have a branch called main that we're checked out on. That's why head points to it. And we then have an upstream main with a remote for origin. So that happens to be where main points to on our GitHub repository for this. Okay. And technically in patch stack terms, in Git Patch Stack terms, any branch that has an upstream is a patch stack. So you can have as many of these patch stacks as you want, as long as you're in a branch that has a remote upstream. Okay, so to add patches onto a stack, you first have to be checked out on the branch that has an associated upstream, of course, and then we just make changes like we normally would in Git. We add a commit, and that commit conceptually becomes a patch. So let's do that real quick. Let's go look at our source code here. We have simple thing, which is main. Let's say that we want to add another function called foo for some reason, and we want this function to print foo, right? Nothing too crazy. So we add a function. We're not even going to use the function, right? We're just going to add it to the code base so that we can use it in the future. So that's it. So we just do a git diff to verify our changes. Once we verify the change is what we want, then we stage that change. We can stage that change by doing an add of that file. So I just did a git add of the file. So far, we're just using all normal git commands. And now it's staged. So now we can do a git diff -- cached. And that will show you all the changes that are staged as a diff. It looks good. Looks like the changes we want. I happen to have an alias set up for DC, for short for diff cached in my git config. It makes it quite a bit easier to run that command. And then all we got to do is run commit. And if we do git commit, pops up my editor, and I can say add foo function. So that in the future we can print the foo message when necessary. Ideally, we'd provide more context, but because this is a contrived example, we don't really have it. So, and now we have a commit. If we look at our Git tree, you can see we have a commit here that we're pointing to on main, which is the add foo function. And then underneath that in the tree, we have the initial skeleton commit we had before. Now, if we run git ps ls, which is how we list our stack of patches, we can now see that our stack of patches consists of one commit, the commit that we just added on there, aka a patch. So let's add another one real quick, just so we can see what it's like to have two. Let's just copy this, paste that, change this word to bar, change this to bar, and then we'll add another function. Oops. Git add, git DC, looks like function bar, all looks good. We commit it, And then we go add bar so that we can print the bar message in the future, right? Now we should have 2 patches in our stack. We have patch 0, or which is the index of that patch currently, and we have patch index 1. These are the short SHA of those commits that are those patches, and then it gives us the summary of it. And then as you get in further, you'll see indications here and here that will indicate things like whether that patch has been requested, you've requested review of that patch, or the patch has been published, or there's been changes since you requested that review, and that will appear here in this list. But for now, that's it. That's how you add a patch to the top of your stack. Hope you enjoyed.